Okay, so now everybody can see my screen, right? So here, basically so-called the correctness questions, multiple choice questions that's already reviewed. And then hands-on questions, you have two of those, and you have 4 sub questions. The first one is create object using car template. Car template, I told you that template is just like a class. A class is template. Template is just things that you use to create objects, right? So for example, like a cookie cutter, use that to cut a cookie to make cookies, okay? So what does that do is basically you're assuming that you have a car template, okay, car class, and then create a car object. So basically just a 1-line code like this. So say car, say my car equals to new car, semicolon. That's it, it's 1-line code. Second one, similar, telephone template. So you're going to create telephone object, telephone. So let's say my phone equals to new telephone. Okay, to remind you again, the first part, this part is template or class. This is the object, and this is the constructor. Okay, and the next, question 3, declare variables. 3 variables. The name is already given to you, and the first one is like a boolean, and the second one is birth date, and then last one is like a length. Okay, so you need to declare them as like a bool, data time, a decimal, and then you initialize them, use appropriate values. So what does it mean? That is you create the variables, and also you need to put the values into the variables. So the first one is bool, and then the name is BLS blank. Okay, and then if you want to put values into it, equal to, initialize it, say that is true. Okay, so that's what it does. Okay, second one is a birth date. So that is data time. And then you can say that is DT birth date. Birth date. Okay, and then you initialize it. So I told you that you can initialize to any values. So for example, you can initialize to the current system time. So that will be data time data now. Okay, and then you declare a variable called the length, which is kind of a decimal number. Okay, let's move this up. So that will be decimal, and then D, what is called DL, D length. Okay, and let's just make up some kind of value for that. For example, that is 23.5. Okay. Oh, by the way, double and decimal kind of like similar, but the double is like a double precision, and decimal is actually you can have like much larger value, larger precisions. So double is like 8 byte, and decimal is like 12 bytes, I think. So decimal allows you to hold larger decimal values. Okay. Finally, you declare variables like price and order date, and then put the values using these text boxes. Okay, so that we can do that easily. So double. So the name of variable specified as DPL price. DPL price. Okay, and then we put use text box values. So text box are called txt price. So in other words, you're going to say txt price dot text, but this is a string, so you need to convert. Okay, so I'm going to put a convert to double to the top of that parentheses, and then close that. So put parentheses here. Okay, so put just like a put this things inside the parentheses, and then semicolon here. And I do the same thing for date. So you have a data time, DT auto date. So that will be data time. DT auto date. Okay, so you're going to put the values from this text box. So I'm going to do convert also. So convert to date time, and then txt date dot text. So dot text semicolon. All right, so that is answer to your question number 1. And then I think I can put this away. Now let's come to the second question. Second question, you're given very simple input, simple form data for input. Like the user can put like amount here, and the user can select whether the service is super or good or bad, whatever. And then you're trying to calculate that how much tip you want to give. So the rate, based on the rule is that 20% for super service, 18% for good service, right? Is it good? Yeah, good service. And the fair service, 15%, 14% for poor service. Okay, so let's try to do that using Visual Studio. So let's do that. Visual Studio. Okay, so let's say we can, let me see how do I do that. We can just put this to different screen again. So put this into this screen. This screen's have a lower resolution. So I'm going to create a new project. Create a new. And then make sure it's a C#, and then it's a Windows Forms. So where's the Windows Forms? So let's choose Windows here. Okay, so Windows Forms. So write the first one here, Windows Form, .NET Framework. Okay, so we'll select that one. Okay, and then go to next. So let me just do that as homework 4. And then I'll do location, I'll put on desktop again. So I still have one student submitting something which is not working. Although the project was submitted correctly, but the files inside, or some files are corrupted. So I was not able to do anything. I was not able to open it or look at it. So let's see desktop and then press create button. All right, so we basically switch to another screen again. So let me put back. Okay. All right, so let's just create 3 boxes. So I'm going to use text box first. TXT. What? Did I do something wrong? Text box. Object set to instance of object. So what does that mean? So I guess let me switch to another screen. It's coming back. So let me go to stop sharing here. Okay, let's go share another screen with you. Okay, so I think the recording is still moving, is still going. All right, so let's go to this screen. All right, and you can see my screen, right? I've changed to another screen. So let me put text box first. And let's change to a different name. Let's say that is amount of the order. So let's say txt amount. Okay. And then let's put a text combo box. Combo box right here. So that is the the service quality. So I'm going to say that is CPO service. All right. And also for that, I'm going to put a couple of values into it. So that will be items. So let's put it into here. So we have a super, and then good, fail, and the bad, or poor, actually, poor. Okay, so all of them are worse, right? All of them are worse. So you understand that you need to declare a variable to hold those words. And finally, you have a text box to show the tip. So I'm going to put in here. Okay, so let's just say that is txt tip. Okay. All right. So the first thing we want to decide is how we are going to how we are going to write a code. Where we are going to write a code. So in which event we are going to attach the code. Okay. So apparently, given this example, I did not put labels in front of it. Okay. So you understand that label I'm missing here. So first one is what, like amount. Second one is service. Third one is the tip. Okay. So just for saving time, I forget those labels. And so the first thing we did for event-driven programming, the first thing we want to decide is where do we want to attach the code. So apparently there's no button to click. So every time when I change this label, change this combo box items, make selection changes, then I will calculate the tip automatically, right? So apparently we need put code behind this combo box event. So let's select combo box and then select event. The default event should be what? Should be like item changes. So where is that? Let me see. Default event property pages event. So what is the default one? So that should be like item selection changes. Let's say selection changes, right? Change, all right here. Okay. Select the index change or select the value index, select a value change. So either way, we'll just select index change, okay? So index is basically just items inside, for each item inside the combo box, there's index. The first item is 0, second item will be index 1, 2, 3, like that, okay? So we can just select index changes as event. So double click on that. So now we can write a code, okay? So when somebody change this index, then the code will be executed. So how do we get the code? So basically, let's just look at the text box. Okay, let's look at the forms again. So we need to get the data from this text box, first text box, okay? What kind of data we get from that first text box is the amount. Amount, of course, is a number. So we use double, right? It's not integer because generally amount could be anything, right? Could be any like decimal numbers. So I'm going to declare variables hold amount. So double amount, okay? And we can put values right away. So equal to. So that will be equal to txt amount dot text. Okay, so we can assign values right away. And then of course you have a mismatch, type of mismatch. So you're going to do convert to double. Okay. So declare and also assign values at the same time. Okay, so you can split into two lines, but if you wanted to. So here I'm just doing one step. So this is getting data from text box into this variable. Okay. So first of all, we know what variables we need to declare. That is some kind of numbers, okay? Some kind of decimal numbers, so we need to declare double. Next, I need to declare variables to hold the combo box values, combo box selected values, okay, which is the words, right? Which are just words in general, like super or whatever. So we are going to use string to hold that. So let's say string, okay, and then let's just say service, okay, equals to, and we need to convert again, convert to string this time. And why we need to convert? Because combo box items are not strings in general. Combo box items, selected items, can be like any kind of objects, like a date, can be value. So this is a special kind of type, a special kind of item type. Okay, so the item has to be changed into the string in the text. So that's how we do that. Okay, so after that, we're pretty much ready to do calculations, but we will need to have a result. So we'll put a result into tip variable. So tip, of course, is kind of a double again, right? So now we can use if else. If, okay, so if x is equal to, so remember you have two equal signs, that means comparison. No x, no service, sorry, not x, service. Service is equal to super. So make sure it's case sensitive, okay? If the super, then tip will be calculated as 20%, that will be 0.2, multiplied by the amount. Okay, the variable which will hold your amount, hold that how much you spend, right? How much is your order, and then multiply by 20%. That would be your tip. So that is the case if service is super. Else, if service is equal to good. Okay. Then we will do tip is equal to 0.18 times amount. Okay. And then else, if again, service is equal to and fail, then the tip will be equal to 0.15 times amount. Okay. So there's only one case left. That is a poor case. So we do not need to use else, because if it's not a good, it's not super, it's not a fail, then it must be poor, right? So we'll say else. Or other cases, in other words, the tip will be equal to 0.13 times amount. All right, so there we go. So all the tips have now been calculated. Depends on the situation, depends on whether the service is super good, okay? So you're going to have a tip. So you have variable tip, and now you're going to put a variable tip result into a text box, which is txt tip dot text into tip equal to tip. So what does that mean is you put this variable value into this text box, okay? Of course, you have type mismatch here. So here, right hand side is what? Is a double, and the left hand side here is string. So you need to convert to string. So convert to string. There we go. Okay, so that is it, and that is how you do this question. That should be working. No, there's no problem. So let's put some kind of number. Suppose I made order of 2567, and then say suppose service super, then this is the tip amount. Okay. Now if I change it to say this is good, then this is 4.6. All right. So there we go. So this is answer to your homework question. All right. So I can close this one. Let me see whether you have any questions. Do you have any questions? Now, if you do not have any questions, we are going to go to week 5 outlines. I'm going to do a few more of these if-else statements. do simple ones first. And how much time do we have? So we will have time until 6:30, right? So we have like pretty much half of the class time. So I think we should be able to do a few more examples. So the week 5 on the line, I'm going to just show you, let's show you the screen here first. Okay, so this is if-else statement. So if-else is also called decision control, or sometimes more is called like contingency execution of a code. So the basic idea is that you have some code to be executed, okay? But the code which one to be executed depends on the condition. Whether it's condition A, then you execute this set of code. And if condition is B, then you execute a different set of statements. And finally, if it's not in first two conditions, if something else, then you execute a different set of conditions. Okay, so this is a general decision control. So just remember, just look at the syntax here. Okay, so if, and then after that you have a parenthesis surrounded. Okay, so put it inside here. It's just like some kind of conditions. So whether something is bigger than something else or something is equal to something else. So basically, any comparisons inside will be just those conditions. They say whether if those conditions are true, then this set of code will be executed. Okay, and then you have else, and after else, you can have another condition, another set of conditions. So in that case, you put a space and if another set of conditions. Okay, and then to see whether that condition is met. If this condition is met, is true, then you execute this set of conditions. All right. So I'm going to check. I'm going to do a few simple examples first. So, for example, I want to write a program to check to see whether an integer is an even number or odd number. That's pretty simple, right? So if I type a number in the text box, I want to see whether that's even or odd. Okay. So let's just create a new. Let's start a new project for today's exercise. And we did example 3 last time. So let's say today I'm going to do example exercise example 3 or 4. Okay. So we did my second example, my fourth example, my third example. So let's do fourth example. Okay. Great. And make sure it choose Windows. Okay. Follow me. Okay. Follow me. So while you follow me, you will see some place may make sense or may not make sense. And then go to Windows and then .NET Framework and press Next. So let's just say this is my fourth example. Okay, 4CX. And I'm going to also put on top of my desktop. Okay, select desktop. And then anything else by default. And press create. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just first of all, I need to create a text box to enter integer values. So let's just name that as txt a text box. Okay, so let's name that as txt a. All right, and then I need to tell whether the integer is even or not. So where do I report the result? Let's put that into a label this time. Okay, so I'm going to use label to show the result. Okay, so for label, I'm going to change the text as a result, and I'm going to change the label as LBL result. Okay. So in other words, when I put values into it, and then this one will show me whether it's even or odd. Okay, so I'm going to put buttons, because if I don't do buttons, I need to find the sophisticated event to handle case that when the data has not been finished entering. So let's do buttons. So make things make a event easier. Okay. So for the button, I'm going to say this is btn check. Okay, check. And then the button label is check. All right, so everything, the code should be, the ID should be simple. So you put data into here, and then you press this check button, and then this one will tell you this is even or odd, right? So I'm going to select this button, and then the default event for that should be click. Okay, so if you see that is click is selected by default. Okay, so we can just, and you can also just simply double click on the button to select default event. Okay, so btn check. First of all, I need a variable to hold the integer value entered into text box. So that is integer. So let me just say that is integer whatever, integer any, like x, okay? That's x. And then I also going to get the values directly from it. So I'm going to convert to integer 32, right? By default to 32 bits. So that is txta.text. Okay, there we go. So after you get data, so this is how you put data from the form, from this text box into variable. Okay, so the first thing you want to get is you get data from the form. And now you need to process this x. So what do you need to process in this time? We just want to make sure that whether this one is even or odd, right? So let's say whether even or odd, let's just say even, odd. I'm going to declare that as a text. Okay, string result. Okay. And now let's see, how do we decide whether even or not? So basically, if this x can be divided by 2 wholly without a remainder, then that is even number. Okay, if this divided by 2, there's a remainder, then that is not. Then it's not even number. So we can just do using the modulo calculation. So x percentage sign 2. Okay, if that is equal to 0, so remainder equals 0. If we are dividing by 2, then you say result is equal to even. Okay. Else, so in other words, if remainder is not 0, then the result will be equals to odd. All right, so that's how you process the variable. After you have is it declared wrong, something wrong? Result? I hope not. Okay, so now let's use the variable. So let's report the variable, report the result value using the label. So I'm going to use label text, label result.text equals to result. So that's how we put the values as text for the label. Make sense? Okay, so now if you run this, then this should be some very simple code without any errors. So let's say we put any numbers in here, and then we check, and then you should get even, and then you put another number here, check, that's even, that's odd, right? Okay, so very simple logic. So basically in this case, we are using if else, basically just two contingency execution. Okay, let me exit this. Okay. All right. So basically, the idea is the same thing as what we did in last class, last week. So basically, you have data on the form, and then you want to put that into a variable first. Okay. And then for that, you need to declare right kind of variable. Okay. You need to declare right kind of variable to hold the right kind of data. If data does not match, then you need to do conversion. And after you get the result, get all the variables values, then you just process it. Okay, like in this case, we just decide whether the result is even or not. Okay, and after you have that, you want to report back to the form. So you can use variable on the right-hand side of this assignment. Okay, this doesn't mean that you put values, you copy the value for a result into this text box. okay? And as opposed to this one, you copy the value of text box into a variable. So these two just like opposite direction, right? All right, so now let me say, let's do a second example. So we did that, okay. And then this time, let's see, this is actually, this is a kind of fun exercise, simple exercise. Okay, so let me do this. Okay, so we have a text box, not text box, a label. A label shows like open, and then we click on that, we want to change the label to close. And then if you click again, then you change it to open again, okay? So that's kind of a simple exercise, but shows have some kind of a, just show if else again. So here, I can create another button instead of using the same button. Okay, so let's say this, I will create this button, and this button will be labeled as open, close. Okay, so first of all, give a name. Let's go to properties, and the text is say open by default. And then button name is BTN open. Okay, so let me repeat what I want to do. So when I click this button, I want the button face change to close. And then if I click again, then I want to change it to close. Okay, change it to open again. Okay, so in both cases, you're basically just mouse click, right? So I'm going to say double click on that. Okay, so if the name of the button is what? BTN open dot text. Okay, if that text is open, then I want to change it back. I want to change that to close. Let me see what I have. Is this if? Okay, I made a mistake here. Okay. So if close. Okay, I made extra one here. Okay, so if the button text label is open, I want to change back to change BTN open again. The name is same, and text will be changed to close. Okay, make sense? So if face is open, you change it to close. Otherwise, else, then we change to open. BTN text equals to open. So just change it back to open. Okay. So basically, just swap text like this. See that? Okay. Pretty simple, right? Okay. Let me know if you have questions. Okay. Otherwise, we're going to move on. And then next question we already did, I think. So we just create a form to show good morning, good afternoon. We did that, right, last class. And then we create a program to test whether today is your birth date or not. We did that too, right? You remember that we did last week. So now let's do question 5, example 5, okay? So this time we are going to create a small game, and the game is this. It's just like a guess number game. And first of all, the program will randomly generate a number integer like between 0 and 100, okay? And then you're going to press, and then you're going to enter a number, and then the number going to make a comparison. So if the number you guessed correctly, then you say wonderful. You can just report the result, and the result you say that is wonderful. If your guess number is too slow, then you say so. Okay, you say so. So then keep on pressing this button to check. Okay. Does it make sense? So just small guess number, you know that guess number, so you some kind of a number generated behind you cannot see, and then you're trying to guess what number is it, right? So the number should be between 0 to 100, and then you're going to enter a number to guess whether it's just right or just too small or too big, and then you can just use that label to show the result, to show whether it's too small or just right. So I'm going to use the same form here, the form I already have. So I'm going to put a number in here, okay? And I'm going to check. And then here I'm going to say whether the result is too big or too small, okay? So first of all, I'm going to put a label as unique as instruction. So label here. Okay, so the text is integer or number or integer between 0 and 100, okay? Okay, so I'm going to say ask the user to enter number in here, and then you check, okay? And then you see the result, whether it is right or wrong, okay? If it's wrong, then we also say that is too low or too high. Does it make sense? Okay, so first of all, I'm going to put a code. So when I check this, when I'm going to check, press this one, I'm going to check the number against the random number. So the question is, where should I put the random number? The random number should be generated just once, right? Should be generated just once and should not be generated again and again, because if you're just trying to change the random number, then the target is moving. You cannot guess it right. Nobody can guess it right. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to generate a random number and put into some kind of put into some kind of variable, okay, and hold that in the variable. And then I'm going to compare the values from here, from this text box into the variable. Okay, so when this form starts, I want that number generated. So let's say I will find the right event for the form node. Okay, so go to event and then select the form here. Okay, so the form node is the right place I can generate the random number. Okay, so here, double click. Okay, so how do we generate random number? So we need to use random number generator. So that's random. Okay, so that's my generator. Okay, my generator. Equal to, we can just generate, use that a constructor to construct it right away. Okay, so generator. And then we're going to generate the integer from 0 to 100. So I'm going to declare that as integer and just say random number, okay, random number. So that random number is going to be come from this generator, so my generator. So let's declare that first, okay? And then the variable we have to move up, obviously move to different place. So here I'm going to say going to generate a number. So random number equals to my generator, dot next, and that will give you a couple of choices. The first choice is just absolutely next. Okay, there's no minimum maximum. So let's just specify that I want to choose maximum and also minimum values. So here the last choice, the last overloaded version, 3, will tell you that what is the minimum, what is the maximum. So the minimum is 0 and the maximum is 100. Okay, so that way we ask the user to enter the number between that range. Okay, so that's how we generate a random number. All right, and then if you look at my generator here, that next, you can also generate just the decimal numbers. So if you use next double, that will generate a number between 0 and 1. Okay, so if you want to generate an integer, a decimal number between 0 and 1, then use next double. Okay, so I'm going to use next, just next. Okay. All right, so now we have integer random number generated, so that when you start the form, it should be generated behind the C. Okay, so now I'm going to put a number here and check. Okay, press the button check to see whether the number is correct, matching this the label, matching this text box value. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a code behind the button. Okay, the button here. Okay. And so we already have a code in there, so I'm going to comment those lines out. Comment. comment. Okay. So we are going to get a value from the text box, the first integer value. So that is a variable, that is a guess. So let's just say integer guess, okay? And that is coming from text box. So I'm going to do convert at the same time, convert to integer 32. Okay, that is txt a.text. So user will give you the guess. And now you just need to make a comparison of this guess with the random number you just declared. Your random number is just generated. So remember the random number is here, okay? Random number is here. So now the question is, can we use this variable inside this place, inside this function, inside this button click function? So this is a different function. This is a one place, one module, and this is another module. So variables declared inside the module in general are called local variables. They can be only used inside the module. So for example, I declared random number here, and that random number can only be used in here. Okay. Similarly, the variable I declared here, guess, can only be used inside this place, inside this module, this place. Okay. So those are called local variables. Okay. So if you want a variable to be open to all the modules, and this is how you do it. So this is what I'm going to comment this line out, okay? Comment this line out. And then I'm going to declare this variable outside of all these modules. So outside of all these modules, so we can put into here or here. We can just do it here. So we can just say integer random number. We can declare that as a variable that is outside of all modules. So those variables will be called global variables, and they are shared by all the modules. Okay, so this is global variable. Global variable. And as opposed to this variable you declared inside the module, like this one, guess, that is a local variable. So this is a new concept, right? So we declare variable local, then that variable only be usable inside that module, inside this module, inside this curly brackets here, okay? And here I declare the variables outside of all these modules. So that means this module can use it, and this module can use it, and this module can use it, and this module can use it. So that's the global variable, okay? So after that, say you declare a variable as a global, then when the form starts up, then this value is assigned. So the value will be some kind of random number generated by the random number generator. And now we are ready to make comparisons, okay? So if guess, okay, is equal to random number, that is a perfect case, right? So I will show the result, LBL result, text, and then we'll say equal to excellent. Excellent. Okay. So that means the guess is correct. Okay. And then else if, okay, guess is smaller than the guess, GUESS, is smaller than the random number, then what do you say? Then you will say the result that your guess is too low, right? LBL. Okay, equal to the guess double quotes, or your guess. Your guess is too low. Okay. And only other case will be what? Greater than, right? So it's not equal to or not less than, that must be greater than. So else, finally, you will just say LBL result dot text, then that's equal to, and what your guess is too high. Okay. And that's it. That's a small guess number game, and let's try it, see whether it's working for you. Okay. text. Oh, there's something wrong here. Let me see what's wrong here. So I have something missing here, or semicolon here. Semicolon missing here. Semicolon missing here. Okay. So after each else if, inside the curly brackets, there must be statements, C# executions, or statement comments. So all these comments end with semicolon. So let's run this again. Okay, so now let's put a number. So between 50, let's just try 50 first. And the guess, check, and that's too high. So let me try 25 this time. Okay, that's too low. So you should know what is trying to go to next, right? Let's see, let's do like a 45. And that's too high. So maybe 30. Okay. Too high. Okay, so now you have a few more to try. So maybe 27. 27. Okay, it's too low. 28. Too low. 29. That must be right. Okay, excellent. Okay. Any problems, anybody? Does it work for you? Yes or no? Is it working or not?
Yeah, it works.
So when I do these demonstrations, I hope everyone puts your hands on to follow me, okay? Otherwise, just does not make any sense just watching me. That will not internalize the knowledge, the skill you learned when you do watching. You need to put your hands on, and you also need to just follow me do this do the examples. And that way, if there's something does not make sense, or maybe does not work, you can check what's wrong. All right. Does anybody have questions? Let me check, see whether that is everything we need to do today. I think that's it. That should be it. So if you want to improve this, then you basically, maybe you may want to try. You want to have some kind of a variable to hold how many times that person press checked, and smaller the number of checks should be awarded the higher points, right? So you may just try to create some kind of reward system. So if person gets the right first time, second time, then maybe get higher points. Then the person gets right third time, fourth time, like that, right? So trying to create some kind of a reward system to improve this small game. Okay, and that is something can be improved over that. And other than that, I think that should be it. That's all for today's class. Let me stop recording, see whether you have any questions.